Chapter 581 Stepping Out of the Walls. Young men should make more contributions, so you will stand out in front of the higher-ups, giving you unlimited possibilities. Yao Nan was different than the other magicians. Even after setting his feet in the land full of undead, he was still able to smile calmly. Mo Fan was the same, too. Even though he was against the idea of joining the war, it did not mean he would simply shit his pants once he was involved. The number of powerful demon beasts he had fought was not any lower than those encountered by an advanced magician. But he was still not satisfied with the situation. Society obeyed the rule of law. How could they simply ignore his rights? Even if they wanted him to join the war, they could simply try and convince him nicely, or promise him some benefits, and he would be more than happy to join in. The situation was going to turn chaotic when the battle started. He was only filling in the numbers, since he could not make any difference in deciding the outcome. He had no trouble running if he could not win the fight. Magicians with the shadow element were able to move freely in the night, like a fish in water. The little guy on your shoulder seems more excited for the operation than you. All right, Vice Captain, I'll leave these arrogant and obstinate magicians to you. An advanced magician like me isn't the kind of brilliant leader that will try to save you when you're surrounded by a bunch of low-level undead. I'm only responsible for dealing with the commander-level undead. Remember, if a commander level inflicts any damage to you, even if we win the battle in the end, I'll still perform a harakiri and apologize to you. But if I see you kids being lazy and not giving it your all, hinted Yao Nan as he glanced at Mo Fan. The first half of his speech was uttered indifferently, but the second half was spoken in an icy and stern tone. All right, don't try and scare me with that. Since I'm already here, unless the war is as good as lost, I won't run away. What do you mean by as good as lost? Like you shitting your pants when you see a few warrior-level undead? Zhang Li's annoying voice appeared out of nowhere again. I will make the call myself, said Mo Fan. I think you're just trying to find an excuse to be a deserter, Zhang Li said disdainfully. Mo Fan was lazy to argue about the bottom line of his morality with the brainless guy whose figure was glowing from the layer of pig fat on him. He took out a fire soul seed piece from his pocket and snapped it in half. He fed one half to the little flame bell on his shoulder, that was close to humming songs in her good mood, and put the other half in his own mouth and munched it. In the past, whenever he was deep in thought, he loved to munch on a stalk of green foxtail. His gloomy, dispirited, and indifferent character even made a beauty like Mu Ningzhu fall for him, and she asked him to run away with her. People had long said that women were as difficult to deal with as wars, so Mo Fan thought he should act natural and unrestrained, just so no one would know that his heart was beating faster. He had to say that undead were more terrifying than demon beasts. Not only were they surrounded by darkness, the endless undead would also come out from the ground beneath them, leaving them with no sense of security. The further away they were from the walls, the more the magicians began to panic. Mo Fan assumed that he had the strongest mind on the team apart from Yao Nan. Hence, if he was having such a reaction, the rest of the magicians would feel their legs shivering and be on the verge of wetting their pants. 34. Only 15 more until 49. The only good thing about joining this battle is providing me an opportunity to collect enough soul essences. Mo Fan gave the soul seed piece covered in his saliva, that he had been munching on like chewing gum until it had lost its flavor, to the little flame bell on his shoulder. The little flame bell did not mind her father's disgusting act. She simply swallowed it as if it were pudding. The swaying flame erupting from her figure was a clear sign that her mood had further improved. Suddenly, the little flame bell uttered a long, slightly piercing cry. Mo Fan and the little flame bell were bound to one another through a contract signed with their souls. Hence, he could understand what little flame bell was trying to say. He frowned and glanced at the icy black land nearby alertly. The place was covered in wilted grass. The temperature was lower, as it was now approaching winter. Even though there had yet to be a snowfall, the land around the ancient capital was pretty much barren. The wilted weeds were swaying slightly. The dried ground began to crack open slowly, so weak that it was not making any noise. Yet, the observant little flame bell noticed the difference. letting Mo Fan notice it too. Something's there, Mo Fan told Yao Nan. Yao Nan had assigned Mo Fan to be the vice-captain of the team. Therefore, Mo Fan had 30 intermediate magicians under his command. As a responsible captain, Mo Fan hoped that everyone would be able to finish the operation unharmed. It's not coming out. Yao Nan waited for a while, before urging the people to proceed forward, seeing that there were no undead coming out from the loosened ground. Could it be an ambush? Asked Mo Fan. Ha ha ha, kid. I think you've grown dumber, spending too much time in your institute. Undead are only a bunch of brainless creatures. Even if there are only one or two of them, they will still attack a super magician boldly. I don't think they have brains to set up an ambush, said a man with a scar in the shape of a cross on his face. Is that so? I've encountered undead that know how to ambush us, replied Mo Fan. The real undead, even the officials and rulers among them, have no intelligence at all, said Yao Nan confidently. Mo Fan stopped commenting further, yet he kept recalling the undead kid that Lu Ru had mentioned to him. That being said, Mo Fan did not realize that the two incidents were related. He simply realized the truth behind the undead that had ambushed Hua village all of a sudden, yet he was still confused by a question. Where are the light magicians we are supposed to protect? Asked Mo Fan. They will be here later. The other teams are distracting the undead army. I bet our superiors are waiting for the perfect time to strike, to kill that undead emperor, said a soldier with a square face. Which means, if Zhu Meng and the others fail to kill the undead emperor, we're pretty much trapped among the undead army, asked Mo Fan. That would be the case, but as long as we can eliminate the White Serene Ghost officials, they will surely kill the undead emperor, and they will send backups, too. Even without backups, the super magicians are more than enough to wipe out the undead army. Zhou Ming seemed fairly confident that the plan would work. You're scared, but I don't think you're that kind of person, said Mu Bai. I just don't like that my life isn't in my control, said Mo Fan. Who would like that? Agreed Zhou Ming. By the way, the undead only appear at night, so what are they doing during the day? Asked Mo Fan. Yao Nan turned around and said, I think if the government gives every undead's household access to Wi-Fi, they probably won't trouble us any further out of boredom. What, isn't that funny? I'm just trying to ease everyone's nerves. Hee hee. Chapter 582 Living Dead. City West, inside the outer walls. The misty night loomed over the lights coming from the households. The blurry lights were not bright enough for the people to see the night scenery of the city. The place had grown colder. The city was frequently covered in fog in winter. The heavens knew if the next heavy rain would simply turn into a huge snowfall. It would provide some relief to the civilians, since the snow would harden the ground, making it more difficult for the undead to crawl out from the ground and stir up trouble. Most of the buildings in this area were old houses. The occasional tall buildings seemed rather out of place. Between the roofs of the buildings, a skinny figure swept across the sky like a purple bat. Her purple coat made it look like she was gliding between the buildings. The crowd on the street was unaware of her presence. She stopped on the roof of a compound. The compound was not huge, yet it had quite a number of people living inside, who were none other than the people from Hua village. Chief Xie Sang was sitting on the stairs, smoking an antique pipe. Su Shaluo slowly walked up to the chief and stared at the old man with suspicious eyes. Since my dad betrayed the village and left, you're the person I respected the most, but I can't help but feel suspicious, said Su Shaluo. Suspicious? What are you feeling suspicious of? Chief Xie Sang pretended to be confused. Up on the roof, Lu Ru was about to check on the villagers when she stumbled into the conversation. When she heard Su Shaluo's words, she decided against jumping down from the roof. Her skinny figure slowly dissolved into the shadows, only a pair of slightly glittering eyes left. I heard from Guzi that he has seen the people of the Sunny Goat Village, continued Su Shaoluo. Guzi has always been out of his mind. You shouldn't take his words seriously, said Xie Sang. I've also heard other things, too, and they are all related to the Sunny Goat Village. Aren't you going to tell me where the people of Sunny Goat Village went? Asked Su Shaoluo. Girl, haven't you read the news? 6 of the villages in Shanxi area were destroyed all of a sudden. You did see how the undead attacked us, even with the barrier around the village. I bet Sunny Goat Village suffered the same fate, so why are you asking me now, said Xie Sang. Sunny Goat Village disappeared long ago, right? Asked Su Xiaoluo. Oh Xiaoluo, Xie Sang let out a sigh. The people of our village didn't disappear, see. Aren't I standing here now? A voice interrupted her out of nowhere. A man in a black outfit was standing close to the well at the center of the compound. The man was like a ghost. He slowly walked forward and burst out laughing when he saw Chief Xie Sang retreating in fear. Chief Xie, I'm not a ghost. Why are you afraid of me? Said the man. You, why are you here? Xie Sang's face turned pale white, worse than if he had seen a ghost. Su Xiaoluo turned around and felt the face under the black hat to be rather familiar. You are? She asked. Fang Ji Yu took off his hat, revealing his face. Fang Ji Yu glanced at Zhang Xiaohou, who had a blank face, as if he were trying to confirm something. His gaze focused on Xie Sang again after he did not see any reaction from Zhang Xiaohou, and continued with a sinister grin. Don't be afraid, I'm only here for one thing. Who's the asshole that killed my son? You tell me, and I might spare your life. Your son? Didn't your son die a long time ago? Xie Sang's voice was already trembling from the terror he was experiencing. The mad Guzi ran out and blurted out everything he knew, as if he were asking for mercy. It's that girl, the girl. She came with the idiot's friend. I saw her hands growing into claws, and it penetrated Fang Lu's head. Guzi, the person you saw from Hua Village was Fang Lu? But didn't you? Asked Su Xiaoluo. Everyone is from the same tribe, it's rare for us all to be here, so I guess a reunion won't hurt. Give me a second, I'll call them here. Fang Ji Yu burst into sudden laughter. In the midst of the laughter, Fang Ji Yu had begun to draw a star pattern, which was the color of black blood. It was not just black like the shadow element, nor was it bright like the fire element, but a dark red with a hint of evil. A dark aura lingered in the air, with a strong scent of blood. The dark red star pattern felt like the blood sacrifice offered by a priest, as it immediately emitted a tremendous bloody glow after it was completed. Black gas immediately filled the compound with the presence of death, and following it, several figures appeared at the center of the compound, where only Fang Ji Yu was standing before. No one knew where the people came from. They appeared out of nowhere like phantoms, or like the beasts summoned through dimensional summoning, or perhaps Fang Ji Yu had simply opened the gates of hell, and dragged them out from the netherworld. The people looked pretty much alive. Apart from their pale faces with bloodlines, they looked pretty much the same as ordinary humans. Fang Yumiao came out from one of the buildings in the compound after hearing the noise outside. However, he immediately discovered the familiar faces of the people in the compound. They looked pretty much the same as when he left the village. Fang Yumiao was so excited that he felt a strong urge to hug the villagers whom he treated like his family. Don't go, yelled Su Xiaoluo suddenly. Fang Yumiao halted in his tracks. He glanced at Su Xiaoluo in confusion. He did not understand why she was trying to stop him. The people from Sunny Goat Village had moved to the ancient capital, and he was finally able to meet them. Shouldn't they be happy that he was finally able to reunite with them? Can't you tell? Su Xiaoluo had a stern face. She tried her very best to calm down from her overwhelming fear. They are all dead. They are all dead. Fang Yumiao did not believe it when he heard the words. However, when he took a closer look at the familiar villagers, he eventually shivered in fear. On a cold night like this, any breath they exhaled under the available light in the compound would turn into white mist. Su Xiaoluo was panting heavily, breathing out white mist. Xie Sang was breathing heavily in a panic, yet there was still white mist coming out. The same went with the amnesiac Zhang Xiaohou. Everyone's breath was turning into white mist as it came out. However, the people from his village who had eerily appeared in the compound, they might look alive on the surface, yet none of them were breathing out white mist. There was only a strange dark red mist circulating around their mouth, nose, and ears, as if it was nurturing the dead villagers. Chapter 583 Black Rotten Corpse Army. There was a strong presence of death. Everything within the magician's range of vision was devoured by the same black tide that consisted of black rotten corpses. It seemed like the hatred from the dark abyss served as a great nutrient for them. Each undead was wearing black armor, resulting in a formidable army. Little Loach, time to eat at will, but help me to pray that nothing wrong will happen to those righteous leaders. Otherwise, if your father dies here, other people who find you will assume you to be a piece of junk and smelt you, so you won't be able to eat more souls anymore. Mo Fan grabbed the pendant hanging in front of his chest, as if he was having a pleasant conversation with it. Little Loach would never let his father talk to himself like an idiot. The pendant shuddered, implying that it had clearly heard him. These undead seemed like they could provide more, mumbled Mo Fan. When Mo Fan was fighting the undead on his way to the villages, he discovered that the Little Loach pendant really enjoyed eating the final soul wisps that the undead turned into. It refined the servant class soul essences at a faster rate. Otherwise, Mo Fan would not have strengthened 33 of his fire element stars. The greatest benefit Mo Fan could possibly get from taking part in this battle was, without a doubt, these soul essences. Either the soul essences refined from the soul remnants, or the rare soul essences that the undead dropped, would simply be collected by the Little Loach. Therefore, when Mo Fan saw the overwhelming number of servant-class zombies, he strongly believed that they would all turn into food for the Little Loach. No wonder the Little Loach pendant seemed to be so excited today. Kill 'em all! The man with the cross-shaped scar screamed while an ice star pattern surfaced under his feet. 4 icy chains circled the man within the blink of an eye. The guy was a very experienced ice magician, and his control over Ice Lock had reached an extreme level. As he leapt into the air among the icy chains that were dancing wildly in front of him, he adeptly stepped on the flying ice chains in a stern and confident manner, which sent him straight at the group of rotting black corpses. The black zombies were everywhere. Even when glancing into the distance, they could not see the end of the army. Not everyone was able to charge forward so courageously when facing such a large group of zombies. The man with the cross-shaped scar helped motivate the magicians. When the others saw his courageous move, they quickly started utilizing their magic as they clashed with the black undead. You should just stay underground and rot to turn into nutrients for the plants if you're dead. Don't come out and trouble those who are still alive, said a magnificent battle maga whose long robe was drifting in the wind as she moved. Thick magic vines immediately grew out from the soil her finger was pointing at. The vines were covered in dense thorns, which would immediately peel off a layer of skin when they wrapped around a demon beast. However, it simply would not work the same way against undead that had no sense of pain. Even when their bodies were torn into 2 parts, their upper body would still crawl forward with their sharp claws, as if they would win by simply crawling in front of their target. Unfortunately, the battle maga controlling the magic vines would simply stomp on their brains with her heels. An empress type, Mo Fan grumbled in his heart. He tried to take hold of the opportunity to ask her name since he was only a short distance away from her. The battle maga glared at Mo Fan with a proud and icy look that told him that she had no time to befriend him on the battlefield. Her name is Qing Lajiao. She's from the Magic Association. She's not in the Enforcement Union, yet she's more violent than those who are. She once led a group of students in their training, and one of the foppish students from a renowned family was lashed by her magic vines for over an hour. His clothes were completely ragged. She's ranked number 7 on the undead leaderboard, killing 1,330 servant-class undead and 78 warrior-level undead, in just the past 5 years. A familiar voice with a hint of pervertedness appeared. Mo Fan turned around and was greatly astonished when he saw a man who was so close to kissing his knees talking to him with an eerie grin. "Shorty, why are you here?" asked Mo Fan in astonishment. "I've always been here. Damn you, didn't I tell you that I live just across the street from where people of Bow City are?" "I came straight away when I saw the signal," protested Shorty with wide eyes. "Oh, sorry. It's pretty hard to see you among the crowd, unless you try to get my attention," Mo Fan nodded. Please, even though I'm trying to make money through various strange methods, I did swear the oath once at the Hunter Union, to be a righteous magician for world's peace. Speak human, please. The hunters who participated in this operation will be given the title, Honorable Hunter, something that I can sell for at least 8 million. You should be a businessman, not a magician. I despise you, said Mo Fan. Brother, I was at the tower too. I saw the councilman drag you into the team. You didn't even volunteer. Oh, what was the undead ranking you mentioned before? What's with the chili or capsicum? Mo Fan was a past expert at switching the topic. Shorty immediately wore a disdainful look. While his eyes were fixed on their comrades that were fighting the undead ahead, he continued, it's the leaderboard for intermediate magicians. Every faction has it. It is based on the number of undead everyone has killed. That Qing Lajiao you tried to flirt with is ranked 7th, killing over 1,000 undead. It's an achievement that ordinary magicians have a hard time getting. Asshole, a little zombie like you dares to ambush me. Stomping you to death would simply make my shoes dirty. Mo Fan lowered his head and saw a zombie with only half an arm left trying to grab Shorty's ankle. It immediately infuriated Shorty, whose 5-foot figure jumped into the air furiously. I see, so we do have some experts in this randomly assembled team. Eat this, eat it. This fiery dragon fruit has a great taste, said Mo Fan as he shoved a fire burst into the mouth of one of the zombies nearby. He was so gentle that it felt like he was a kind man feeding a refugee starving on the street. The fire burst ate through it rapidly. The zombie immediately erupted in flames as the fire burst entered its throat and burned into a pile of ashes. Not even the bones were left. The little loach pendant puffed its cheeks and sucked the wisp of green soul away after the undead was killed. Brother Mo Fan, you ain't bad, either. If I knew you were the one with double innate elements ranked 5th on the innate talents leaderboard, I would have given you a brilliant light. Allow me to help you to transcend. Oh, I wasn't referring to you, Brother Mo Fan. I was trying to say that I would have given you a 5% discount. Chapter 584 Cloth-Wrapped Corpse General. 5%, hee, the world is so big. Why don't you go and have a look? Mocked Mo Fan with a hollow laugh. What do you mean? I enjoy staying in the ancient capital. My parents have passed away, but I do have a wife. I bet my son will be born once the war ends. My wife is tall, so my son is most likely going to be a handsome, tall magician. I'm going to let him join the enforcement union, continued Shorty. I mean, you should piss off. It's scary talking with someone without knowledge. Oh, your wife is about to give birth? Mo Fan asked in surprise. Well, hang on, let me slay these goddamn zombies first. Every single one of them is so tall and huge, even a bunch of zombies is trying to mock me. Shorty quickly summoned a puff of flames. Mo Fan had no idea he was a fire magician. That being said, every magician would awaken 2 elements after reaching the intermediate level. On top of that, apart from lightning, it was possible to awaken specific elements through guided awakenings. As a result, the fire element was not as rare among intermediate magicians. After all, fire element was the most destructive elemental magic. Most intermediate magicians that were wealthy enough would spend a fortune to awaken the fire element as their second element. Mo Fan could easily tell that Shorty was just here to fill the numbers, hence why he was hanging around with the vice captain instead of charging with the frontier. The guy had yet to cast an intermediate spell. However, when Shorty was going against the zombies that were relatively huge and tall, he simply used Fiery Fist to blast them away. Shorty completely vented his hatred and grudge toward his own DNA on the zombies' faces. The punch he threw was incredibly powerful, instantly killing the huge zombies. He continued with the joy of fulfilling a man's role of having descendants. It's a boy. I secretly brought her to do the scanning. I know everyone likes to call me Shorty, which I don't really mind, but it doesn't mean I don't want a son that would completely shut them down. With the savings I have built up over the years, I'm pretty sure I can guarantee him a head start. I didn't expect you to be a real man aiming to alter your destiny. But based on the American TV series I've watched so far, Basically everyone that mentioned your son being born after you returned from the war, or those that have decided to retire after their current operation, they normally end up dead in the end. Your words of describing how much you're looking toward to your future will pretty much become your final words, said Mo Fan sternly. Pooh, curse me dead? Shorty, I still have a long life ahead. I've killed 800 of these assholes, if the count hasn't reached 1,000 yet, Shorty blurted out anxiously, feeling the urge to throw a punch at Mo Fan's knees. Why aren't you ranked on the undead ranking then? Mo Fan had no intention to give up. What were you saying just then? Which one? Something about the world is so big. I'm giving it back to you. Have you two assholes finished chatting? A cloth-wrapped corpse general is coming toward us at 5 o'clock. Take 1 or 2 men with you and eliminate it. Yao Nan's voice appeared out of nowhere. As the captain of the team, Yao Nan had already seen his 2 comrades with low morale goofing off in the fight, but he was not too bothered by it, since there would eventually be a chance where they would need to try their very best. Captain, that's a corpse general. I don't think the few of us are enough to handle it. Besides, even if we could eliminate it, our army is advancing so rapidly. What would happen if we were left behind? Complained Shorty. Then just wait for your death. Don't disobey my order. I'm not joking with you. You, the woman, and the guy with the scar, go and help your vice captain kill the corpse general. Yao Nan's voice instantly turned cold, leaving them no room to negotiate. Scarface and Qing Lajiao withdrew from the battle. Both of them seemed fairly well trained. They were a lot more obedient than the 2 slickers, Mo Fan and Shorty. I don't mind going, but they have to listen to me. I don't want a student fooling around just trying to earn some glory commanding me and leading us to death, said the Magic Vine Battle Maga without mercy. It's an order. Don't you negotiate with me. Apart from me, your vice captain is the only one giving orders. Yao Nan glanced at the Battle Maga coldly, as if he had always been cold towards women. The Battle Maga definitely had a grudge, since she was being put under an inexperienced young magician who was still studying at school even though she was ranked 7th on the undead ranking. However, she had no choice but to nod, as she did not have the guts to disobey the order. The man with the cross-shaped scar was not too bothered, his expression implying that he only wanted to kill the undead. He was no longer satisfied killing little zombies since he could simply charge into a bunch of them and return perfectly unharmed. It might be more interesting fighting a corpse general. Yao Nan, if you don't wait for us, you're going to die for sure, snapped Mo Fan at Yao Nan, while glancing at the black tide of undead surrounding them. If you are left behind, I do look forward to seeing you avenge yourself, but you're most likely going to be stopped outside the outer walls. You have 20 minutes, since we need around 20 minutes to clear the obstacle ahead. If you haven't come back by then, you should look for a way to stay alive yourself, replied Yao Nan indifferently. Yao Nan tapped the wings on his back and hovered above the team at a consistent height. He was the only one that could fly on the team. As soon as Yao Nan left, Shorty immediately grumbled, I knew from the beginning that joining the operation was risky. If our team stumbles into a commander-level creature, I don't think Yao Nan, who's the only advanced magician here, can help us stop the creature. We should hurry up and kill that cloth-wrapped corpse general instead of wasting time complaining here, Qing Lajiao interrupted with a cold harumph. Scarface followed behind Qing Lajiao. Along the way, he conveniently stomped 2 of the frozen zombies into pieces with a pleasant chuckle. Assuming the army was advancing toward 12 o'clock, 5 o'clock was pretty much the opposite direction of where the army was heading. As Mo Fan, Shorty, Scarface, and Qing Lajiao backed off to the tail of the team, they immediately saw gray-white winding sheets scattering across the place. The sheets looked like skin peeled off from a monster, which were still wiggling on their own. Where is it? Shorty stood on his toes as he tried to find the creature. There was a group of zombies behind them, yet they were completely scattered. After all, a group of intermediate magicians had just advanced through the area. Those that managed to survive the continuous blasts of their spells were most likely the elites among the zombies. Is our target that mummy, the one standing on the little slope? It looks like it's performing a flowing sleeves dance, Mo Fan, who was able to see further in the dark, pointed at the little slope nearby. Mummies are found at the pyramid in Egypt. Even though the kingdom of the undead at the pyramid in Egypt and the land of the undead of the ancient capital are equally famous in the world, our zombies here are definitely leading the world in terms of their shape, aesthetic, and elegance, said Shorty. The pyramid? There's a kingdom of undead there too, said Mo Fan in astonishment. Of course. Was your demon beast class taught by a teacher on probation? Replied Shorty. To be honest, I've only transversed to this world not long ago. Mo Fan and Shorty never stopped talking. Meanwhile, Ching Lajiao's forehead was already full of black lines. She totally lost interest in teaming up with them. She took the initiative to make her way toward the slope, hoping to eliminate the corpse general as soon as possible. Scarface glanced at Mo Fan and Shorty, before charging forward, riding the ice chains with a chuckle.